I literally died. That was it. Massive heart attack, coded, gone. I was immediately taken to the other side, which I now know is the lowest level of heaven. And I could see everything that was happening below. I could see my body. I could see them working on me. I could hear the nurse in the room behind me with another man talking with him. But then my focus was in front of me because I immediately was shown a life review. Then I heard from behind me someone say, "It's not really your time. You can stay here if you want to, or you can go back. It's your choice."
I'm here with June Edward, and she had an amazing NDE. Hello, June. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
So, can you tell us about your NDE?
Yeah, I had injured my back when I was about 22 years old, right after I got married. And they wanted to do back surgery. And I just knew that if they did back surgery, I was going to die. And what I've learned since is that's literally your soul giving you a heads up. You want to listen to that gut instinct. And I knew I was going to die. I just knew it. And every doctor that told me I needed surgery, I'm like, I knew if I went in for surgery, I was going to die. And I waited 5 years until I got to the point where they told me I had no choice but to have the surgery. And if I wanted to have any more children, that was my only option, to have the surgery. And the night before the surgery, I let my husband and my mother-in-law and everybody know, listen, I'm going to die. I just need to be prepared to take care of the kids. And they're like, oh, no, you're just afraid. I'm like, you don't understand. I'm not afraid. I know I'm going to die. Sure enough, I went in, and the night before the surgery, they did an MRI test to find out exactly where the damage was. And before they injected me with the dye, I told them I thought I was allergic to it. I'd had it once before, had a very bad reaction to it. I couldn't get off the table for hours. And they just shrugged it off and said, it's fine. Everybody has that reaction. And what do I know, right? I'm 27 years old, and I'm not the doctor. So sure enough, as soon as they injected it with me into the dye, I died immediately. And I never considered it an NDE because everybody's lumped into that. I literally died. That was it. Massive heart attack, coded, gone. And, everyone's experience is a little bit different. And I did not see the light or go into a tunnel or any of that stuff. I was immediately taken to the other side, which I now know is the lowest level of heaven. It's the 5th dimension. We live in the 3rd dimension here. The 4th dimension is your dream state, and the 5th dimension is the lowest level of heaven. There's different levels. And I could see everything that was happening below. I could see my body. I could see them working on me. I could see him hit the crash thing on the wall and the crash cart come in. I could hear all the conversations happening. I could hear the nurses at the station talking about it. I could hear the nurse in the room behind me with another man talking with him. But then my focus was in front of me because I immediately was shown a life review, which a lot of people that die don't get. And it was like sitting in the front seat of an IMAX theater, literally. It was huge. And it's like watching this movie go by. And again, everyone's different. For me, they showed me all the times in my life that had been very happy, the people that had loved me and cared about me and helped me through my life. Because I'd had a very difficult and challenging life. They didn't show me all that. They showed me the good things and the good people. And, the feeling on the other side is just incredible. I used to say that the only 2 things you take with you is love and knowledge. But after I'd done this work for many years, I realized I brought so many souls through from the other side. You take all of your feelings with you. So if you have regret or you have anger and you have remorse, you take all of those feelings with you to the other side, and you have all the knowledge of all your lifetimes.
How would you describe heaven, or the 5th dimension, as you call it?
So it's different because you don't have a body weighting you down. You're if you can close your eyes and picture yourself without the body, right? That's what you are. You are the soul. So you're just pure energy on the other side. So you're weightless. There's no pain pulling you down. And for me, it was an overwhelming sense of love. more love, more love than I've ever felt in my whole life. It was just, if I could wrap myself in a warm blanket of love, that's what it was like.
What did it look like, your surroundings?
So I was only able to really see the screen in front of me. I didn't look anywhere else because I was focused on that and looking below to see what was happening with my body a little bit. But then I heard from behind me someone say, "It's not really your time. You can stay here if you want to, or you can go back. It's your choice." And that's when I started thinking, let's see, why would I go back? I'm not going to go back for my husband. I'm not going to go back for my family. I can't think of any good reason that I would want to come back from this feeling of just unconditional love. And then I remembered I had 2 young children. They were not in my movie for some reason. And I knew that they were the biggest reason that I came back in this lifetime this time, and that they brought me the most joy in my life. And as soon as I decided I wanted to come back for them, I was immediately back into my body, immediately. And at the time, the table was still tipped upside down. He had been slapping me when I was gone, when I was on the other side, telling me, "We can't lose you." I could see it, but I didn't feel it because I wasn't in the body. But when I did come back, the table was still tipped upside down. And I came back into the body, and the doctor looked at me and was like, "Oh my God." He goes, "Thank God you came back." I felt like saying, "You know what? He had decided to." I just didn't say anything. And it took me a long time to talk about my experience. It even took me a long time to even tell my husband, I think, because every time I talked about it, I was so overwhelmed with the emotion from the feelings that were on the other side. All I did was sit there and bawl my eyes out. It took me a long time. Yeah.
Did you understand what had happened, or how did you interpret it?
Oh yeah, I absolutely knew what had happened. Absolutely. I always knew that there was a higher power. I've always been a very spiritual person. Since the time I was a child, I was very psychic, and I apparently was a medium as well and could see people and hear them. I would wake up in the morning as a little kid, like around the age of 3 or 4, and they would be all around my bed. And it was very, very frightening as a child. I would know everything that was going to happen before it happened. I would tell kids in school and then get labeled a freak. Yeah, it's hard when you're a child, and people think you're crazy. So you shut it down as much as you can. But no matter what I did, if someone died that even somebody in the family knew, or it was just an acquaintance, they would immediately come to me. And I would know they were dead, and I would tell my family member, and they'd be like, "No way, I just saw her." And I'm like, "I'm telling you." And sure enough, that person had passed. Yeah. And you would think that after that experience that my abilities would have just opened right back up again, but they didn't, because I still had fear that was blocking it. And I did get very curious though, and I started doing haunted vacations with my ex-husband. I was curious.
You mentioned that you were in the fifth dimension and that the fourth dimension is the dream state. You
Correct.
think there's a connection between that spiritual world, the lowest level of heaven, you called it, and the dream state? Because many people have received visitations from deceased ones or angels through dreams. So do you think these are connected?
So we're not the suit that sits here. We are the soul, the energetic soul that's inside. Okay. So your soul is way too big for this body. Some of it's in your body, some of it's over your body that people can see, and they call it an aura. And the majority of your soul is actually in that lowest level of heaven, that fifth dimension. And it orchestrates the timing of all the events in this lifetime. And it also has all the knowledge of all your lifetimes. And it's always trying to guide you in this lifetime. So while we're in this body here, we have a brain in our head, right? Our brain is a massive computer. And other than to process the information you're given, your brain's job is to protect you. How does it do that? It does it by creating fear. So people block their abilities to see or hear from the other side, or to connect with their own soul based on fear. This is why when you meditate, you're literally getting out of your head. You're shutting off that brain to connect with your soul. And when you do that, you're connecting with not just the part of your soul that's inside your body, but the majority of your soul that's on the other side in that lowest level of heaven, the fifth dimension. So if you are not connecting with your soul and you're not getting the messages that they're trying to give you on a daily basis and guide you, they will lower their vibration, because when you go to sleep at night, you actually raise your vibration. So vibration to meet you in that 4D dream state, to give you a message or to come see you if they want to visit you. Because it's really like a two-way mirror, and they're banging on it saying, can't you see me? Can't you hear me? Because they can see you, they can hear you, and a lot of them have learned how to slow their energy down enough to touch you or to move objects. And they're frustrated. They want you to know that they're still around, that they're okay, or to warn you for things. So if you're not in touch on a regular basis during the day, in touch with your soul, or picking up on messages they're trying to give you, then that's when they're going to connect with you at night in your dream state. Now, you know it's a visit, not a dream, because it feels like it's real. You wake up right away and you remember everything. That is a visit, not a dream.
You said that you lost your mediumistic powers when you were a kid and you forgot about them, but when did you recover them? When did you start talking?
Forget about them. And I didn't forget about them. I was afraid of them. So, through the years, I've always had like a major psychic connection with one of my sisters, to the point where she'd be calling me and I'd be calling her, and neither one could get through because we got constant busy signals. And then we'd figure out that we're both trying to call each other, and we'd both hang up, and then no one's calling each other. Then we would start all over again. So I've always been in touch with a lot of that psychic ability, just not understanding what it is or what it was. It's just that knowing. And everyone's had something in their life that they just knew in their gut they were supposed to do it. They didn't think it through a lot, and they just did it, and it worked out fine. That is your soul. So about 10 years ago, I was going through a second divorce and having a lot of problems in my life. And I went to see a Reiki practitioner to try and relax. And she recommended that I meditate. And I'm like, I can't meditate. I can't shut my brain off. The same thing everybody else says. And as soon as I tried to meditate, that was it. It's like I kicked the door into the other side, and they're like, she's ready. And I could not shut it off. I get up that morning, again, people around my bed and in my room. I was working as a medical esthetician in my business, and every person that I put my hands on that came into my room that day, I knew everything there was to know. And the first one, I'm like, did your aunt die? She's like, yeah, how do you know that? I'm like, I have no idea how I know that. I'm like, did you clean our house out this weekend? She's like, yeah, we did. We cleaned our house out. I'm like, did you find one of those sock puppets from the 1950s that looks like a monkey? She's like, yeah, we found one in the attic. I mean, random stuff. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. This can't be happening. This can't be real. And it was every person that I came near or was in touch with. I knew everything there was. And I was freaking out. I'm like, how do I shut this off? And this is what happens to a lot of people when their abilities open up. In fact, I just did a radio show in Seattle about a week ago, and one of the producers had the whole radio show. Her abilities opened up the same way, and she was freaking out because she doesn't know how to turn them off. She doesn't know what to do. And a lot of people will self-medicate with drugs or alcohol because they think they're going crazy. They're not. It's just that your abilities have finally opened up, and you need to learn how to control them. What I've learned is that, the speed of light is, I don't know, it's 160 million miles a second or something, whether that's in a vacuum or out of a vacuum, I don't know. But it's very, very fast. And when you go into that light, that's how fast your vibration is. Vibration, speed, it's all the same thing. And when we raise our vibration that much, the reason we can't see souls, spirits that have gone into heaven when they come to visit is because they're moving so fast. They're zipping right by us, okay? And your eye can only pick up so much. So if you think about it, color doesn't really exist. There's a lot of people that are colorblind. The only reason we see colors is because the light refracts off of an object and the shape of our eye picks that up, okay? So it's the same thing with energy. Some animals can pick up and see energy because of the shapes of their eyes. I've always been able to see energy for some reason since I was a little kid. I could literally, I still can do it, can see the wind go by, which is kind of crazy. So it's all about the shape of your eye and light refractions and all that to be able to pick things up. And the reason that you don't see them most of the time is you slow their energy down enough for you to see them. Some of them have learned how to do that. And a lot of the ghosts that are stuck here, they're lower vibrational. They have not gone into the light. So they operate at the same vibration as a living person. Okay. And this is why it's easier for a ghost to manifest energy and form themselves here than it is someone from the other side. But ones from the other side can figure it out and learn how to do that as well. Sometimes somebody might be in bed at night and they swear they saw someone standing at the end of their bed, like my grandfather. Well, I'm sure it was.
Have these spirits ever told you what's it like on the other side?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
What have they told you?
They pretty much do whatever they want to do over there. So recently I had a woman come through for a man. It was his mom, and he wanted to know what she was doing. And she was one of the first ones to tell me that she's actually time traveling. She's been going back in time and studying all the history that she learned here when she was on the earth. And she was very upset because she said, it's all wrong. So her son started laughing and he says, that sounds like her. He goes, she was a history teacher. I'm like, well, there you go. This is why she's going back in time to really check it out. But your soul can go forward in time, back in time. You can do whatever you want. Now, you don't have a body. So basically, you're living vicariously through the people that are here on Earth. My father-in-law used to love to fish. And he's fishing all the time on the other side. How does he do that? He goes and finds somebody that's fishing. He stands next to him and he eggs them on. This is what they do. They have to live vicariously through us. And it's one of the reasons that we choose to reincarnate, because when you're over there on the other side for that long period of time and you don't have a body, you miss doing a lot of certain things. So that's one reason that we choose to come back, as well as collecting our karmic debts, paying our karmic debts forward and learning the lessons that we're supposed to be learning. Because we learn our lessons faster here than on the other side, and faster still within relationships.
So what do you consider your mission? What are you doing these days?
So I have a 7-week online program called the Relationship Mastery Program, and it's reconciled hundreds of relationships, only working with one person, because I teach people how energy works. Everything's about energy. And when you understand how energy works, you can have everything you want in this world, as we're meant to be. We're meant to live a life of abundance, the law of attraction. But people can't maintain the law of attraction because they don't fully understand the energy and they're not able to balance their energy. Everything in the universe has to stay in balance. So if you raise your vibration for the law of attraction and you're bringing everything in and you don't balance your energy, you crash and you lose it all. So I teach people how to balance their energy so that they can maintain that law of attraction. And everything that's meant to be theirs is theirs. And the reality is it only takes one person to make or break any situation in life, including a relationship. Because for every action, there's an equal or greater reaction. And when you do something different, the people around you have no choice but to do something differently, because the same thing is not going to be the same interaction. It's very simple. And it improves everyone's life when they understand why they're here, how things work. They stop taking things so seriously. They really can look at their life from a higher perspective.
Apart from this, you also work as a medium?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I have clients all around the world.
Okay, so are these two activities related or?
Somewhat. Yeah. They do learn mediumship and psychic development through the relationship program because they need to learn how to raise their vibration. And the fastest way to do that is through mediumship and psychic ability and connecting with your soul. And when you start meditating and you're opening up your psychic ability, everyone has psychic ability, everyone has mediumship ability. So you will start seeing your relatives and things, and you'll start hearing them as through, just through meditating properly.
There are so many different types of meditation. Which do you practice?
I don't have a name for it, quite honestly. It's kind of a cross between what I learned and what I developed. And I basically it's the biggest priority is people have to protect themselves before they meditate. And most people don't. And most people don't learn that. Because when you open yourself up to the universe, you're opening yourself up to good and evil. And if you have a good heart, you're a target for evil. It's that simple. Everything that's happening in the world right now, it's not political. It's a war of good and evil. And what's the prize? God wants your soul. The devil wants your soul. Everybody wants your soul. And that's what you're trying to connect with through meditation. So you have to call on Archangel Michael to protect you every time you go to meditate. And then you want to call on everyone that it is you want to talk to, your angels, your guides, the ascended masters, whoever it is you want to talk with. And then get into your meditation. And, with people should only meditate for 20 minutes 2 to 3 times per day when they're starting out, because it's going to take them 18 or 19 minutes to connect with their soul. And if you meditate for more than that 20 minutes, you're going to be ungrounded. And if people don't understand what that means to be ungrounded, I'll give you a great example. I was meditating one day in my kitchen. I was cooking meatballs in the oven. And they needed like another 10 minutes. So I figured I'd sit down and meditate for 10 minutes. And I did not set a watch because I figured 10 minutes, that won't take me long. I meditated for an hour. I got up, didn't realize an hour had even gone by, started to do my laundry. I'm coming down the stairs. I'm like, oh, I forgot to shut the oven off when I took the meatballs out. Then I'm like, oh my God, I never took the meatballs out. They were like hard little rocks. Because I'm walking around like an airhead. That's what being ungrounded is. This is why when you're learning meditation, you're starting out, you only do it for 20 minutes at a time. Once you're very good at what you're doing, then you can connect kind of immediately. And you can also meditate as long as you want, because then you can go astral project your soul and do all kinds of things. And then you know how to stay grounded when you come out of that meditation.
You have a book out. Why did you write it?
I actually have 4 books out. My latest book is All's Fair in Love and Karma, and it's the 5 steps to master any relationship, and it's basically the 5 lessons that we're all here to learn. And your soul cannot advance on the other side until it's learned these 5 lessons. And it is absolutely possible to learn them all in this lifetime, because everyone that's gone through my program has learned these 5 lessons. But it's what you are here to learn. Some people already know some of them, and some people need to learn them all. But it's self-worth, trust and communication, and that's trusting that there is a higher power and trusting that you made the plan here, and being able to communicate your wants and your needs to the people in your life. And also sex is another form of trust and communication. If you can't trust and communicate outside the bedroom, you can't do it inside the bedroom. Unconditional love, which many, many people struggle with unconditional love. Money and balance. Money is energy. That's why it's called currency. And it's what we use in the 3D world here to show whether or not your life is in balance. If you work too much, all you're doing is working and saving your money, your life's out of balance. You have no time for your friends and your family, your own hobbies. And then if you're just hoarding your money and you're not putting it out there, it's energy. What you put out comes back more and more to you. It has to flow like energy, because it is energy. And then you have patience, and that's a tough one for everybody, because we live in this world of instant gratification now. But everything actually comes to you in the time that it's supposed to. You can't force it. You can't force anything. You can't force someone to love you. You can't force someone to want to be with you. You can't. You have to have patience, trust the plan that was made, and that everything's happening for a reason, and that nothing is ever happening to you. It's always happening for you, for your highest and best. And if you get off your plan, the universe is going to step in to put you back on your plan. And you may not like it. If you were supposed to move somewhere and you're stubborn and I'm not going to move, but maybe you were going to have the job of your dreams and meet the love of your life, right? They'll do something to force you there. Maybe you'll lose your house, you'll lose your job. And while you're going through it, you think it's horrendous. But then something great happens and you look back and say, oh, that hadn't happened. This wouldn't have happened, right? I'm a spiritual person, and all religions have a purpose. And if they're teaching love, if they're teaching community, if they're teaching unconditional love, which is a tough one, and most of them aren't teaching that either. But if they're helping, we're all here to help each other. That's the reality. And sometimes that's the place that you need to go to be able to connect with people that have a like mind, to be able to help each other. And as your mind evolves, you'll realize that, everything they're telling you may or may not sound great in your gut, because maybe it isn't. All these, the Quran, the Bhagavad Gita, the Bible, they've all been translated many, many, many times. By who? By human beings that have their own agenda. That's reality.
What would you tell someone who is afraid of dying, or maybe a loved one recently died?
There is absolutely nothing to be afraid of dying. It's absolutely wonderful. I've been with many people as they transitioned. In fact, I'm now starting to volunteer for a program called NODA, No One Dies Alone, because I wouldn't want someone to die alone and be afraid of dying, because there's nothing to be afraid of. It's a wonderful thing. I was with my mom when she died, and I literally saw what was left of her soul leave her body. And her mother, her father, her adopted parents, and Archangel Michael brought her all to the other side. It was wonderful to see.
You witnessed that?
I witnessed it, yeah. And I can go back and forth while I'm in this body. My soul can go back and forth to the lowest level where I went when I died the first time, the fifth dimension. That's where the Akashic record library is kept that I can go to. I can go back and forth to that level, but I cannot go beyond that while I'm in this body. But they allowed me to view my mom going to the higher level.
Is there a final message you would like to communicate?
It's the holiday season, and it's a tough time of year for a lot of people. Call on your loved ones. Set an extra plate at the dinner table like they used to tell you 100 years ago, because they will show up. They will be there. All you have to do is say their name or think about them, and they show up immediately. It's amazing. And they'll enjoy the holiday with you. And then think about strangers, too. I know everybody has their own life path, and everyone chose that life path. But still, we're here to help one another. And maybe you could take, plate up a dinner and take it to somebody and deliver it to them that maybe is alone this holiday season, because there's a lot of people that are alone. And I do that. In fact, I used to have a holiday dinner here for all my friends that didn't have anywhere to go. And now I just deliver it to their house after, because I don't end up having a big party, but I still bring it out to people. Remember, a lot of people are by themselves, and we're here to help each other.
If someone wants to contact you, how can they do this?
They can go right to my website, 𝐄𝐱𝐩𝐿.com. Very easy to remember. You can send me a message through there. All my social media links are there as well. If you want to follow me on Facebook or X or Instagram, all my links are on there. I do have a cruise coming up in March, the first week of March. That's a workshop cruise. I'll be doing 4 workshops on that cruise: mediumship and psychic development, the destiny cards. You can learn about that on my website if you want to learn a little bit about that. I'll be doing a mediumship gallery where I can bring your loved ones through for you. And I'll be teaching meditation as well, so that you can learn how to properly do it and to bring your own people through, and doing psychometry. So that's where, if you have a piece of jewelry or an item that you're not sure where it came from, you can bring that with you too, and you can learn how to do that.
This has been the A.J. Parr Spiritual Journalist Podcast. Please like, share, and subscribe.